Brokers have read it. How crazy is it where you work on the trade floor? And every risk management employee and every money manager was busy checking short positions to see how vulnerable those positions are. My wife works for TER and she says the phone calls are 700 deep with hours-long wait time. Trading floors don't exist anymore. At least not like you'll see in them in movies. Those scenes of guys answering phones were people answering client calls to bully slash themselves. That is all but extinct. Any institutional investors with proprietary trading do so almost exclusively with models. If anyone left in finance is moving large amounts of stocks by their gut, it's because the power is so consolidated in one individual that there's no hectic scenes of papers flying and guys screaming around them, and they're most likely doing it on a computer screen. Trading floors nowadays look like cubicles sectioned into teams that contribute specific things. Most communication is done via Slack, and it's actually a pretty somber scene in times like these. It's just a bunch of stressed out people looking at screens. But again, even that hardly exists anymore. The scene of the most erratic hedge fund intimately trading in GameStop right now is probably 3 dudes crouched around a screen stewing and staring at a model. I would also like to jump in and say, as far as I'm aware, the trade floor craziness that is portrayed in the movies is really not a thing anymore. Most brokers just sit at computers and make phone calls and trade via computer, etc. I know there's still a couple of futures markets that are screaming, yelling, etc. But there's all kind of a bygone era. Maybe I'm wrong, but as much as I'm sure people envision people yelling by Game 154, I don't even think that would be a thing anymore. I have a feeling there's a lot of dishonesty in this thread, and I'm not sure which side it's coming from. I've been hearing lots of comments like how they've never seen this much attention on a single stock in decades, and that includes the gum bubble. Retail trade volume has dramatically increased this year, with no-fee trades along with many retail investors stuck at home, but this is beyond insanity. Phone rep here, absolutely crazy times, whole times are through roof. We can't keep up with this pace. I was a trader, though in credit, not equities, stocks. I do through quant stuff now. But I've been chatting with a friend of mine who's a cash shares trader. So probably the closest thing to what you imagine when you say a broker. Apparently it's relatively chill. There's not much liquidity in these stocks going at all. And so the consumer retail trader, there's only one nowadays, is pretty stressed about it, but nothing absurd. The rest of the guys don't trade these names, so nothing really out of the norm for them. March 2020, when COVID blew us up, was much crazier in my memory, though I am on a different floor than equities where that stuff matters more. As others have pointed out, brokers don't really exist anymore. Trade floors do exist, but exchange floors, the floor guys, are mostly a television studio, happy to answer questions if people have him. Brokers don't work on trade floors. They work in support call/chat centers and in normal debit environments, and largely from home. It's not crazy at all, just higher support volume than normal. I don't work on the trading floor, but I'm an attorney who services a variety of financial institutions, including brokers/dealers. This isn't the exciting, hilarious answer you want, but a lot of people had no idea it was even happening until the past 48 hours. And even now, it's mostly just a funny news article about some internet trolls making a buck. This is a big deal to the shorting community. But to the other 99% of the financial world, nobody gives a shit. As much as young people on the internet like to imagine this as an epic, David Goliath, Wall Street, his main street showdown for the history books. From a bird's eye view, it's actually just a brief dumpster fire where a couple hedge funds lost their shirts, betting on one little small cap stock. It has happened before, and it will happen again. In 6 months, nobody will remember or care, except that maybe it will become more difficult for retail investors to trade options, and not because the greedy hedge fund oligarchs forced the sect to crack down on retail investors, but rather because when this is all said and done, There's going to be a black hole where most of these retail investors' brokerage accounts used to be, and the second brokerage community will be lambasted for failing to protect unsophisticated investors from a bubble. I've been monitoring those threads, and while the WASP veterans know that they're making a seaside charge for the memes, they have brought thousands of new investors with them, who predominantly think that they're going to somehow come out on top, not realizing that they're cannon fodder for the more savvy OSP users to exit with gains. Redditors never seem to stop and think about why the OSP guys know so much about derivatives trading, or how they seem to know how to access and read from a Bloomberg terminal, or why there are so many users there that can seemingly drop tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on complicated meme plays. How do you think it was new that Gore was open to a short squeeze and a gamma squeeze play? OSP's power users are younger finance bros. It's 30-something investment bankers and portfolio managers memeing each other and cosplaying as autists. If you didn't know what a gamma squeeze 48 hours ago, you are their exit strategy and the down payment on their next port.